Photosynthesis is an important biological process on which the entire living world is dependent. Photolight synthesis is a synthetic process that occurs in presence of light or driven by the light. Plants do perform photosynthesis. It is a complicated process. For a layman, it seems to be very simple, but it is a complicated process biochemically. Without plants, we would be all dead. No life on the earth. So this is a picture depicting the requirements of photosynthesis. Simply what happens during the photosynthesis. This is a leaf, chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the platform where the photosynthesis takes place. But it requires water absorbed from the soil. It requires carbon dioxide. It requires light. So, chlorophyll, essential requirements for the photosynthesis are chlorophyll, water, carbon dioxide, light. A complicated, very intricate process takes place on the platform of the chlorophyll, chloroplast. During that process, glucose is produced and released. At the same time, oxygen is also released. So these are the requirements: light, carbon dioxide, chlorophyll, water, and these are the products, byproducts. Glucose, a carbohydrate, energy-rich molecule, and oxygen, an oxidant. Photosynthesis can be singled out as a phenomenon which is responsible for life on the earth. As I said, without photosynthesis, there is no life on the earth. For animals, plants alike, it is the only source which provides the energy. Food means energy. We get the food, we get the energy indirectly from plants. Definition, time to time different types of definitions are provided by the scientists for photosynthesis, but almost all of them are same with slight variations. The process by which green plants and some other organisms use sunlight, synthesize nutrients from carbon dioxide and water. Photosynthesis is the process by which green plants and certain other organisms transform light energy to chemical energy. Just if we go deep into light energy, a physical form of energy is converted to chemical form of energy. During photosynthesis, green plants' light energy is captured and used to convert water and carbon dioxide and minerals into oxygen and energy-rich organic compounds like glucose, starch. Then convert light energy into chemical energy. Light is a source of energy. And during the photosynthesis, light energy is converted to chemical energy. And it is stored in carbohydrates. Energy is synthesized, energy is produced, but there should be some mechanisms to store the energy. And that is stored first in glucose, then later converted to starch and other type of carbohydrates. So this is also important. Just like in our case, just earning the money is not sufficient. We should know how to store it or how to invest it. Molecules like sugars, starches, which are synthesized from carbon dioxide and water. Most plants, algae, cyanobacteria perform photosynthesis. Such organisms are called photoautotrophs. Photosynthesis is largely responsible for producing and maintaining the oxygen. And whatever we get oxygen in the atmosphere, that is largely released from the plants during the photosynthesis process. So photosynthesis provides us two very essential things. One, food, that is required energy, and another is very also important, that is oxygen. Without oxygen we cannot live. So in both ways the photosynthesis is very important for all the living organisms, including the human beings. Photosynthesis is an anabolic process. You know, metabolic process, two types: anabolism, catabolism. Constructive process is anabolism, destructive process is catabolism. It is anabolism. Simple carbon dioxide and water are converted to complex carbohydrate, organic carbohydrate. It is an endergonic process, energy utilizing process, energy absorbing process. Opposite word is exergonic. During this process, energy less inorganic substances, carbon dioxide and water are inorganic, energy less, but they are converted to energy rich organic substances like glucose and starch. So one way, inorganic substances are converted to organic, energy less compounds are converted to energy rich compounds. It is a reductive process. Remember, photosynthesis is a reductive process. On the whole, respiration is an oxidative process, energy releasing process. Then if you go into the historical account how the photosynthesis is investigated and how the process of photosynthesis understood from time to time, and how the various requirements or various byproducts are released, this we get. The actual scientific investigation started in 1927. Stephen Hales, he says that very probable takes nourishment from the air and light may also be involved. He said that the plants take the nourishment from light, water and carbon. Charles Bonnet observes the emission of gas bubbles by submerged illuminated leaf. Just like hydrilla, if it is exposed to light, a submerged plant, then bubbles will be coming out. But at that time, people did not recognize the importance of those bubbles, what those bubbles are, and how are they released, what is the process involved. One important research was conducted by Joseph Priestley, who discovered the oxygen, a chemist, great chemist at that time. He conducted very interesting experiments. You see, bell jar experiments. In one experiment, a candle lit and a small rat is kept inside it. After some time, it died. We can understand why. So this lighting utilizes the oxygen and releases the carbon dioxide. Without the availability of the oxygen and the toxic nature of the carbon dioxide, these mice, rats died. In another experiment, interestingly, he put a plant, candle, rat, and a plant, and kept the entire experiment in light. Then, interestingly, the light continued, the rats survived. So that means these plants have released a certain substance that is essential for the respiration of the rat and also for lighting purpose. And then 74, Lavoisier begins investigations and later names oxygen. That gas released by the plants during the photosynthesis was identified as oxygen. He recognized that it is consumed by both animals' respiration and combustion. Ingenhouse discovers that only the green parts of the plants release the oxygen. Again, interesting finding. Entire plant is there, branches, stems, roots, and other things are there. But only the green leaves. In other words, indirectly what he observed, perhaps the green plants there will be some substance that is necessary for the photosynthesis. Plants release the oxygen and this occurs only when they are illuminated by sunlight. Green plants, green parts of the plants are essential, light is essential. That was the observation made by John Ingenhouse. Jean Sonnebier demonstrated that green plants take in carbon dioxide from the air and emit oxygen under the influence of light. So, he was the person to discover that during the process of this, carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is released. Then in 91, chloroplasts are identified. Then Nicolas de Saussure showed that in the carbon assimilated from atmosphere, carbon dioxide cannot fully account for the increase of dry weight. So by that time, people came to know that the carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis, for synthesis of carbohydrates. But he made some quantitative analysis. Whatever the carbohydrates gained during the photosynthesis cannot be accounted simply for carbon dioxide, but it should also be from the water. He hypothesized that additional weight is derived from water. At this point, therefore, the basis of equation of photosynthesis was established. Now, we write very commonly CO2 plus H2O giving rise to carbohydrate and oxygen. So, for this, the seeds were sown by the observations of de Saussure. It was understood as a process which was green plant illuminated sunlight takes the carbon dioxide and water and converts them to organic material and oxygen. Joseph Pelletier and Joseph Bianem gave the name chlorophyll in 1880. 1837, René Destrocher makes the connection between the chlorophyll and ability of plants to assimilate carbon dioxide. So he said that only chlorophyll is able to assimilate the carbon dioxide, not other parts of the plant. Also identifies stomata on leaf surfaces. 42. Matthias Schleiden postulates that water molecule is split during the photosynthesis. Today we know whatever the oxygen released from during the photosynthesis comes from water, not from the carbon dioxide. That observation was made as early as 1842 by Matthias Schleiden. 44. Von Mohl makes the detailed observations of the structure of the chloroplast. Today we know chloroplast double membranous structure, stroma, grana, thylakoids, stroma, thylakoids, such observations. Robert von Meyer proposes that the sun is the ultimate source of energy utilized by living organism and introduced the concept of photosynthesis is a conversion of light energy to chemical energy. Not simply carbohydrate or superficially saying, but what is happening? The energy present in the sunlight is absorbed and converted to chemical energy. One Sachs demonstrates the light-dependent starch formation on chloroplast. Then Jean-Baptiste Boussingault makes accurate quantitative measurements of carbon dioxide uptake and oxygen production, how much carbon dioxide is taken and how much of oxygen is released. So this enabled them to formulate an equation like this: carbon dioxide, water, light energy, carbohydrate, oxygen and water. Then Godlewski confirms that atmospheric carbon dioxide is the source of carbon in photosynthesis by showing that starch formation in illuminated leaves dependent upon the presence of carbon dioxide. This is another important finding. When filamentous alga like chlorophyll is exposed to the different wavelengths light, he observed that the organisms accumulated or they came together in red and blue lights. We know absorb 7 lights. Suppose the 7 lights split and exposed to the organism. So it has been observed that the organisms accumulated around the red light and blue light. That means, in other words, it gives an idea that that light is very essential. Red and blue light is essential. Meyer describes the chloroplast grana structure. Then Barnes suggests that the process by which the illuminated green plants manufacture compounds be either called photosynthesis, photosyntax or photosynthesis. So thus the coining the word photosynthesis goes to Charles Barnes. He put forward 2 words, but people preferred photosynthesis. It looks good also. It conveys the meaning. Blackman develops the concept of limiting factors. We know today. So what is the importance of the limiting factors? He was able to differentiate the light-dependent photochemical process and temperature-dependent biochemical. In other words, light phase reactions, dark phase reactions. F.F. Blackman. In 1905, more than 100 years back. These are light reactions and dark reactions. Richard Willstatter and Arthur Stoll published the studies on the structure and chemistry of chlorophyll. These people have studied the chlorophyll, explained the structure and chemistry of the chlorophyll, for which they were awarded the Nobel Prize in 1950. 37. Robin Hill demonstrated that in the presence of an artificial electron acceptor, isolated chloroplasts can evolve oxygen in the absence of carbon dioxide. So again, this is very important finding. He used some electron acceptors. Until that, people thought that oxygen released during the photosynthesis comes from the carbon dioxide. So through his experiments, he was able to say that the oxygen released during the photosynthesis comes from water that undergoes photolysis, and that he was able to show that using the suitable electron acceptors other than oxygen. What is electron acceptor? Here we can see electron acceptors are NADP and NAD. Neil published a summary of his work. Then Rubin and Morton used the water label when the heavy isotope 118 confirms that the oxygen produced during the photosynthesis comes from water. So by this time, it was clearly established that whatever the oxygen released from the photosynthesis comes from water, not from the carbon dioxide. The above three works conclusively proved that the oxygen released during photosynthesis is from H2O, water, but not from carbon dioxide. Daniel Arnon demonstrated light-dependent ATP formation in chloroplasts. Photophosphorylation synthesis of ATP. Arnon demonstrates the isolated chloroplasts are capable of carrying out complete photosynthesis. Leaf is not necessary, just from the leaf, the chloroplasts are isolated, purified, and he observed that entire photosynthesis process takes place even without the complete intact structure of the leaf. Melvin Calvin and co-workers use radioactively labeled carbon dioxide, C14 carbon, to elucidate pathway of carbon assimilation. Calvin was awarded the Nobel Prize in 19. Calvin cycle reactions, C3 cycle. Emerson describes the red drop. Then decrease or fall of rate of photosynthesis. That is called red drop in the red region of the spectrum. What is the impact of this? So with this, he was able to say that photosynthesis consists of two separate photochemical reactions. What we say today, photosystem 1, photosystem 2. Robert Emerson. Robert Woodward synthesizes chlorophyll, awarded Nobel Prize. Earlier scientists, they have elucidated the structure, but here they have synthesized the chlorophyll. Awarded Nobel Prize 65. Hill and Fay Bendall, based on the work Z scheme, photosystem 2, photosystem 1, one dependent on another, the Z scheme was Robert Hill. Then Louis Duizens provides evidence support of the Z scheme by demonstrating that exposure to alternating wavelengths of light causes cytochrome F to switch between oxidized and reduced. So this we have to go into the details of the light phase reactions. Roderick Clayton isolates the reaction center complexes. S-state model accumulation explained in the stepwise accumulation, oxidation of carbon dioxide and release of oxygen. Then still further crystallizes the photosynthetic reaction center from a purple bacterium and determine its detailed structure. What is the reaction center structure, composition? We say P700, P680 like that. What is actually what type of molecules are present in the photosystem 1, photosystem 2, reaction center 1, reaction center 2? The three share Nobel Prize in 88. Junko Yano Vittal, Yachandra and co-workers determine the structure of the manganese calcium water splitting complex of photosystem 2. Still they are going into further details. So this I will explain in the next class. So these are the historical aspects of the photosynthesis has been studied scientifically right from 300 years back, more than 300 years back to now, what development have taken place.